forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts.
Is there music at the beginning?
Yeah, there is, yeah. On the audio version, there's a kind of jazz thing, which my intro goes over.
Okay.
And my intro includes stuff, it's me saying, well, I had such a lovely time talking to Doon. We talked about...
Yeah.
That seems to be a thing that you have to tell people what they're going to hear.
What's coming.
In fact, I have started. What we're saying now will be in it.
But there was no one shouted action.
No.
So this is all new for me.
Well, I would say, and don't take this the wrong way, get with it, Grandma.
Yeah.
Because things have changed.
Yeah, catch up.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind the fact I wrote my book longhand. I don't have a laptop. Can you believe that? I mean, I know you're smacking your head in horror. I do have one, but I don't know how to use it. Someone bought it for me because they were like, this is ridiculous. So I am very left behind, but I am very much Jane Austen, shut in my little house, reading, watching a bit of television and writing longhand and writing people cards because I think we need to keep that alive. What's your handwriting like? I bet you can't remember.
Doon, I'm falling in love with you. How lovely.
Well,
how adorable.
Sort of adorable, I'm feeling... So with the book, I started it in the pandemic, like you started your podcast, thinking I'm just going to write my story because I need to do something or I'll go mad. Never think I was going to actually publish it and write it.
You're talking about your lady parts, aren't you?
I'm talking about my lady parts.
That's the name of the book.
And
I'm talking to Doon Mackichan, in case you've just tuned in, and she's lost her voice. And when she arrived, she said, "Oh, Rob," she said, "should we do it? Should we not do it?" I said, "Doon, let's do it."
And what's lovely is you've slightly lowered your voice to mine, so it's like we're in a really intimate cocktail bar somewhere, but we're just round the back of the bins in Fulham Broadway.
I'm nothing if not empathetic.
You are.
Some would say I'm just pathetic.
No, you're empathetic, and that's why you're such a marvellous actor.
Thank you. I like you. I interrupted you. So you started thinking about your lady parts during the pandemic.
Yeah, I just started writing down I found some old diaries, which I've kept since I was young. And I thought, I'm going to write my whole story. And I realised I'd lived in 24 houses. So I thought, well, that's quite a hook.
It's unusual.
For a chapter. And then...
Tom Cruise, he moved around a lot.
Did he? Probably to different churches, hiding from the Scientologists. Not hiding because he's part of them, isn't he?
Yeah, interesting angle to think he'd be hiding from them.
Well, he's hiding from himself, isn't he?
I'm not going to say anything, just in case he one day thinks he needs a new Simon Pegg in his life.
Yeah.
And he thinks, what about that little Welsh guy? Has he ever said anything disparaging?
Yeah.
And you'll find, no, he hasn't.
Yeah.
I'm here, Tom.
Okay.
I'm here.
Also,
I will make you look tall, Tom. I'll make you look normal height.
So when I'd written it down in about 24 notebooks, I then just sent a couple of chapters to a friend and said, what do you think? And then there was a hideous period of all the changes because it's had to be done longhand.
What was this friend? Was this a creative?
Chris Morris's wife.
Oh.
She's a creative.
Can they? Well, that house must throb with creativity, surely.
I mean, you'd want to be invited to dinner parties there, wouldn't you?
And you will have been. What are they like?
Well,
you don't want to speak out of school now, do you?
There's cool people there. There's cool people in that kitchen, and Chris is always cooking something very good, interesting.
Chris cooks?
He's the cook.
What a guy.
I know.
What a guy. He's a one-off, isn't he?
He's a live wire. He's crackling with electricity. We say some people have lost their electricity. I don't think he has.
Yeah, some people... Has he mellowed?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I saw him for coffee fairly recently. It just makes you go, God, I'm feeling a bit old after this conversation. I don't think he'd ever go, I think I'm just going to bow it out, a bit tired. Yeah, he's
Is he one of those
fizzing.
people that makes you come away going, what have I done with my time?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. Because if he does want to go for a coffee with you, it's always at sort of 8:05 in the morning on the Common. Because you know that he's got a day full of people that he needs to see. But his wife, Joanne, and although she's just stopped, was a literary agent.
Right.
So, yeah, she said,
so obviously you would send it to her.
I sent it to her because she was a friend.
And you
then
sent it longhand.
I sent a couple of chapters.
That's a big ask. Do you have good handwriting?
I recorded it onto a dictaphone and then my friend typed it up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then it went from 90,000 words down to 45.
That's a big edit.
That's a big edit. It was a lot of rubbish.
Must have been a lot of absolute stinkeroonie in there.
Absolute boring, utter crap. Who cares about that? Not. But they had an agenda. They slightly pushed it down a kind of politically. They like the activism in it.
Because the subtitle, if there is subtitle.
Oh, please don't read the subtitle.
It's your book.
I know, but I didn't like that subtitle.
But it's your book. My Lady Parts, : nothing to do with colons, by the way. There's no internals here. A life fighting stereotypes. Now, why would they say that?
Because every chapter is all the different parts I've played, from desperate cougar to alcoholic single actress, the hag, the bossy bitch, the stupid tart. So each chapter is, and then it has a casting call at the top of the sort of thing we'd get.
That's
like,
great.
So-and-so is a real ball breaker, surprisingly attractive for such a strong woman, that kind of thing.
So, and that's kind of typical. Everything for me back in the day was nerdy.
Was it?
Whatever it was, nerdy radio presenter. And when I got a part in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, that kind of started everything for me. Nerdy traffic warden.
Right.
I didn't think I was especially nerdy.
A nerd? No,
but
how dare they?
But that's our old friend perception, of course, how we are perceived.
Yes, well, that thing, surprisingly attractive for such a strong woman. That idea that if you're strong, you're bossy, and you're a bitch, and you're a ball breaker.
I first knew of you as part of, and we've already mentioned his name, the Chris Morris, Armando Iannucci, Stephen Coogan, who else here? Patrick Marber.
Dave Schneider, Rebecca Front.
Dave Schneider, Rebecca. Yeah, that crowd.
That lot.
That crowd of, I'm going to use the phrase, bright young things.
Well, Oxbridge people.
Not all of them, not Steve.
Not me and Steve.
Yeah.
Polly, Uni. And
I watched that from afar and I thought, that's what I want to be. God, those people. But you all seemed far more edgy and than me.
Really?
How did you come into that incredible group of people?
Scared. It was so frightening. I was doing stand-up. My first break was the Hale and Pace Christmas special.
I did a warm-up for them once.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
It wasn't the Christmas special, was it?
I don't think it was. They were very nice to me afterwards. Nice people.
Very nice people. This wasn't such a nice experience because Jim Davidson was in it. Harry Enfield was in it playing buttons. That was nice.
Harry was in it?
Harry was one of his first tellies.
Was he?
It's a funny chapter in my book about that. But
so it's the Hale and Pace Christmas special.
And then I think I got an agent out of that.
So you got the part in the Hale and Pace Christmas special without an agent?
Somebody seeing me in a pub.
Right.
Yeah, in Greenwich.
Right.
So that was quite good. Then I got an agent.
Yeah.
And obviously you get a dressing room with
like
your own
fruit basket. Like a big agent, a connected agent, an agent with clout.
Vivian Claw.
Oh, yeah, she turned me down.
Did she?
Yeah.
How funny, when?
Just before Marion and Jeff broke.
Wow.
And
see, I bet she kicks herself.
Yeah, she was. She's been very sweet about it since. But she the full story is she'd heard all my voice stuff and so was willing to take me on. And I said, but you haven't seen my acting work. I'd done bit parts, right? She said, that doesn't matter. I said, well, no, I think I'd like you to see them. So I sent her the VHS of my little acting bits I'd cobbled together.
Yeah.
And then the phone went silent. And she wouldn't take my calls and all that kind of stuff. And I can remember this. I'm in Kew Gardens and I go to a payphone and I put on another voice to get through to her. And I get through to her and I say, hi, it's Rob Brydon. And she goes, oh. And I say, I haven't heard from you. And she said, yeah, well, I like your voice stuff, but the acting, yeah. And then within a year, I won Best Newcomer at the British Comedy Awards.
Right. There we go. Have you spoken to her about that since?
Yeah, I think I haven't seen her for years. But that's all. Listen, that's all. That's fine.
That's funny.
That's the
way
topsy-turvy
the cookie
world.
crumbles.
That is. There's no.
Yeah.
You don't think less of anyone. That's fine. Anyway,
No.
So you get Vivian, who is indeed one of the big agents,
Get
right?
Vivian, still doing stand-up. Armando saw me doing something and got me, I think was that the Day-to-Day? On the Hour?
On the Hour came before the Day-to-Day.
That was the most frightening morning of my life. I think Armando just called up Vivian and said, I've seen Doon, would she come in and improvise with these guys for a radio show? And I turn up with all these people who just seemed incredibly erudite, incredibly confident.
And they're all new to you.
Didn't know anyone.
You've never heard of Chris Morris. You've never heard of Patrick Marber.
But I think that Steve and I had done some gigs on the circuit, I think.
When he was still doing impressions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I knew Steve, but in my head it was so frightening I didn't know anyone. And we sat round a microphone in a room like this.
Because we're talking now about On the Hour.
On the Hour.
On the radio, which then became the Day-to-Day on television.
And Armando said, we're going to improvise Loose Ends, which I'd never heard of. And not being a listener to Radio 4, I was more of a listener to pirate radio station and drum and bass. So I wasn't politically connected in any way.
Yeah.
And On the Hour was about politics.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very, very frightening morning. And I thought, I'm out. Right. I didn't even know what Loose Ends was. Yeah. I had to play a character I'd never heard of. Loose
Ends was a very famous Radio 4 show hosted by Ned Sherrin, who was a man steeped in theatrical tradition. And you'd have, it still goes now, it's hosted by Clive Anderson, and you'd have a group of performers, people, some talk about their new play, their book, there'd be a bit of performance. That's what it was. Anyway, so you do that day, what happens?
Do that day, and I think, well, that's it, I'm out of this. And then we had another improv day. And gradually, I think Dave Schneider, because he was quite shy as well, we became kind of more like buddies. I was very afraid of Chris and Patrick Marber, and they all just seemed so erudite.
They're very alpha.
Very alpha.
Yeah. Was Steve
and
alpha?
Rebecca was quite alpha because she's so intelligent as well.
Yeah. So you put in the alpha chart, you'd have Chris, Patrick Marber, Rebecca. Was Steve alpha?
Well, he's just thrusting, isn't he? Whether that's alpha.
Well, he's just massively talented.
Very, very talented.
His talent just, you
talent
can't...
bulldozed.
Exactly.
So once we started doing the actual Envision, like with Day-to-Day, things got a lot easier because I was able to then play characters. Right. When it was just vocal, I became a bit, don't know what I'm doing. I'm not, I can do accents, but it wasn't about that for me. But actually it was a really good lesson to be working, because Armando was very good at filming our long impros and then mining it for the gold dust. And
He's
then when Partridge came out of that,
oh yeah, well I know,
then we again we would dress up as the characters at the Paris studios for the radio show.
Oh, would you really?
Yeah, because became so much funnier. Steve he went to Little Lily White's and just bought his first ever Partridge jumper. And it was so fun. The audience loved it that we then started, in the Child Genius, I dressed as a little boy.
Oh, I remember. That's a great sketch.
Loads of complaints because they thought a kid had been slapped on air. Or I just remember, have you got any pubes, is what he shouts at me. He's so angry. Because he says whom instead of who. And I go, whom? And he just gets furious because I keep talking about his grammar.
Yeah, yeah.
And he says to the dad, did you ever sit at home with your head in your hands and think, oh, Christ, I've spawned a monster?
That's a line I remember. Do you ever sit at home at night with your head in your hands? And those lines were coming out of very young people.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had a thought like that at that age.
I think because they were so good at it. Steve was so good. Patrick was such a good writer as well. And sort of... he ended up writing a lot of the Partridge. You just up your game. I remember I used to feel it was like going to the dentist, walking down the steps to the basement at Percy Street to do a day's impro for Day-to-Day. Thinking,
felt like going to the dentist.
Well, it just felt so... It was a horrible feeling to walk down the steps thinking, I'm going to humiliate myself.
Gee whiz.
This is going to be painful. And then, of course, you do something that's really good.
Yeah.
And then you come out and you think, oh,
There's a reason. There's a reason that you're there.
That imposter syndrome from being just a stand-up from Manchester, sort of like from uni, and a load of people who've been to Oxford who you feel are more intelligent or better
but
read.
you're not in the room by chance.
It's weird, isn't it?
You're not. You're there purely through merit.
And Armando seeing that through me doing stand-up, that's strange as well.
Yeah. Well, he obviously has a fantastic eye for talent. I mean, Armando is just surrounded by brilliant people.
Yeah.
So it's a hit on the radio, then it becomes the day-to-day, and it's a hit. How does that then affect your life?
I remember that they delivered all the VHSs one night in somebody's car, 6 day-to-days, because we didn't have any idea, because Chris was sort of away doing his own bits.
Yes.
And we would come together and do things like The Office or The Pool or
the Bureau.
The Bureau.
Yeah.
My idea.
Like, that was your idea?
The idea to have a soap opera in the smallest space.
In a busy Bureau
and I
de
remember
Change.
walking up on the way to rehearsals and seeing the Bureau de Change and thinking, that's a great idea for a
as you were walking to rehearsals, you go past a Bureau de
yeah,
Change.
just thought that, because that was our kind of, we were trying to think of the funniest place to have
It is a great place.
a funniest place to have
It's a great place. Such a sterile, nothing
tiny
environment.
stage, glass.
Yes.
No, that was yeah. So we didn't have any idea of what the whole finished package would look like.
That's interesting. That's often the case with television shows, isn't
Yeah.
it? You do, or films. You do
a
your
bit.
thing,
Yeah.
but you don't know what the whole tone is going to be, how it will all slot together.
How they package it. It was, and I watched one and just thought, oh my God, this is genius.
Really?
I remember thinking, oh, I'm proudest of this than I may be of many things I do. And I watched them all in one go, which is now known as binge watching.
It is. You were binging before binging was...
Yeah. Tiny little yellow telly with the VHS slot. In my
one
rented
of those?
flat,
Yeah.
my 2 little kids sleep next door, thinking,
Because you've got children by this stage.
yeah,
Wow, okay.
this is incredible. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't, because I was pregnant with India, my eldest, when we started filming Knowing Me, Knowing You, and I pulled out of it because I slipped and fell, and
Oh, did you?
filming The Punk Singer.
Yes.
I fell and broke my thumb and thought, I can't do this of being pregnant, which was a shame, because I had to pull out of the, I'd improvised. We'd done all the rehearsals.
Yeah.
So like Minnie Driver played the character that I'd improvised.
Yes, that on my head now is whirring.
Transsexual.
I'm thinking, trying to remember.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But although I did come on as the two ladies.
Two lady lesbians. I remember
and
that.
you can see the bump under my dress.
that right?
Yeah.
Bridie McMahon.
Bridie McMahon. And,
What was the other one called?
oh God, Bridie McMahon. I can't remember. He wanted to put her over his knee, didn't he, and give her a good spanking. Yeah. Joyful.
So Smack the Pony, Sally Phillips, Fiona Allen and you. How were the three of you brought together?
So I think Julia Davis was
Julia Davis?
Yeah, you know her.
I know her.
That blonde.
Yes.
I think she originally was in the
Oh, yes, I think she was in that.
pilot.
She was in that sort of orbit, wasn't
I think she was in the pilot.
So maybe she was in the pilot for it.
I think she was in the pilot, and then she pulled out for whatever reason. And then Armando and Steve and I were at an awards.
Of course
Of course we were. And he
you
said,
were.
"Oh, there's this pilot. I think you'd really like it. 3 women." And I went, "Oh, I've just pitched something like that," and it was turned down, kind of a year ago or something. So, it's an all-female sketch show. I was a bit kind of like, oh, I don't really think I want to do it. And I was taking my own play to Edinburgh, and it was all that kind of. And he said, "No, I think you should watch the pilot. It's funny."
This is Armando.
And he gave me the VHS.
Very clever.
And I watched it kind of at midnight, a bit pissed.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Sally Phillips as a traffic warden who was didn't have any friends and was just trying to make friends with people and going to funerals, and just brilliant. And very different, no punchlines, camera sort of. And I said, I'd love to
So
do this.
that was Sally, Fiona and Julia in that pilot.
I don't think Julia was.
Okay.
Maybe Julia Do you know, I can't remember if Julia was in it.
But
I think maybe
they're looking for another person.
They're looking for their third person. Right. I think it had Sarah Alexander was in it.
Oh, right.
Originally, but she was like the fourth girl, but with not as much to do as us.
Yeah.
We had lots of people. We had lots of, I think Olivia Colman was in it in one of the sketches.
What happened to her?
I don't know. I think sadly she disappeared.
It doesn't work for everyone, does it? You know, you can come into the business, you can be full of promise.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't...
It's not really to do with looks, is it?
Come together.
Yeah. The synergy. Yeah.
What about Toast?
What about Toast? Do you like it?
I love it.
You love it.
I think it's gloriously
if only
good.
it would. I just think Matt's got so famous now and working for Disney, and I just don't know if it's going to happen again.
That's a great show, though.
Yeah.
That looks like it's fun to do as well.
Yeah. Did you like the Toast of Tinseltown?
Not as much.
Yeah.
But, well, good luck and everything. But not as much, because I recognise some of the stuff in London, particularly because you and I are both veterans of voiceovers.
Yes.
So all that stuff is so true to life.
Oh, it's
just slightly exaggerated.
And also, that my character, having worked for a co-op, I had to ring up people like Jane Plough and all those, all the casting agents who were just horrible to me. I used to pretend I was someone else. I go, "Oh, hi, this is Jenny Bolt from the Actors File." It wasn't me. Just wondering if you had any casting. No, nothing. No, please get off the phone. You that kind of Jane Plough being dismissed. So it was brilliant to play her because I could years of that abuse from those women. Like if you go and sit in Celestia Fox's office, and you'd be on a tiny chair and she'd be like, "Sorry." She's talking to Fox, and she'd make you sit there for like an hour.
Celestia Fox was the doyenne of casting directors.
Just sitting in her office once for literally 50 minutes and then finally getting up and leaving because she was on the phone talking about Emma Thompson and kept sort of going, sorry to me. But it was such an abuse of power. So I loved playing Jane because I could play, and also finding the look. Like a bat, but like with a big latex neck, so stretched face.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that I had these lifts, sticky tape on my face.
Oh, you did that, did you?
And you tie them above your head under the wig, and then loads of latex on the neck to make it look like I'd had work.
How fantastic.
Yeah, and put some tissue under my top lip to make it look like I'd had my lips done.
Fantastic. So when you asked me what you think of Toast in Tinseltown, the vibe I got was that you were not happy that it's gone to Tinseltown, and you would have been happier if it stayed in London town.
Well, I loved playing... I love playing the American agent. We used an anagram of my name so no one knew it was me. A lot of people didn't know it was me.
No, well...
It's Cocoa Mankind is what we used in the titles.
Right.
So that woman in the car is me.
I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
No.
That's fantastic. So she's like little lady behind the, she's got the pictures of all her actors in the car. In the vintage car.
I didn't remember that. That's great.
The actors get in and out. So she's like, you have to go now. I've got so-and-so, and someone else gets in. But she hates Matt like Jane does. So I loved that. You'll have to rewatch and go,
I will,
that's
okay.
actually Doon.
I'll watch it properly. It didn't, in all honesty, I think he's great, and I think I love the show, but particularly the London one I loved. All right, so very quickly, up to date. So the book, I'm like Larry King, look at this.
It enough,
you have My Lady Parts, a life fighting stereotypes, is out now? Is about to come out?
It's out now, and the paperback's coming out in September.
I like a paperback.
So you can get a cheaper version in September.
Just easier to handle and to take around with you and to have with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed talking about your lady parts.
Even though you haven't even put your nose through it. But you will. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Old stand-up days.
I'm shocked, I'm appalled in equal measure. Doon Mackichan, this is the longest we've spent together. I hope going forward we will spend, I think you and I, acting together in something.
Yes, I think that is on the cards. Maybe a Noel Coward.
Or Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Oh, now you're talking.
Martha.
You want to be Burton, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And I'm a good Elkie, so yeah. Let's do it. Where should we do it? Southwark Playhouse?
We will do it at the London Palladium.
And Julie and Clary can be our warm-up. Yes.
The podcast is coming to an end. I don't want it to stop, but it has to. Goodbye.
Goodbye to you.
A musical?
Yeah. Oh, you're a very good singer, aren't you?
Yes.
Trouble is, I think my voice would just...
You sound a bit like Kim Carnes. I don't want to date people.
Who's Kim Carnes?
Her hair is spun all gold. She's got Betty Davis eyes.
Kim Carnes.
And she'll hurt you and hurt you.
So it's quite sexy, isn't it?
Or Stevie Nicks.
Or Mariella Frostrop.
Did Mariella ever sing?
Oh, yeah, no. Or Janis Joplin.
I had the funniest thing with Mariella. Let's carry on for a bit. I recently was booked to do an interview on her radio show on Times Radio, and it was while the SAG strike was still happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in the Barbie film, so at the time I was getting asked about Barbie a
Wow,
lot.
were you?
Right? What do you mean, were you?
I haven't seen it. And Rhea Perlman's one of my best friends. She's also...
Rhea Perlman is one of your best friends. Why have we not talked about that?
Well, that's a whole...
How did you come to get to know Rhea Perlman?
We were in Boeing together in the West End.
Oh, why have we not talked about that? That must have been great fun.
That was so much fun because she's very short like you, and I'm...
Hang on a minute.
Very, very tall.
I'm taller than Rhea Perlman and Danny DeVito.
Stacked on top of each other.
No, I know. Together they would be taller. But I will not. It
was a throwaway comment.
Yeah, well, not...
You're very, very defensive. You've got the small man's defensiveness.
Oh, it's getting even worse. Yeah, you're right to cough. Right.
Yes, sorry.
It's loosening up, though.
It's loosening.
If we were married, I'd hear that and I go, oh, it's loosening.
Yes, it's coming up. That's the 30 years of smoking. Finally having stopped. It's terrible.
Is that you smoked for
mountain
30
of
years?
tar.
Why do you do that?
It's fun. I like it. It's relaxing and bad for you. No, on and off. I've been a fit smoker. You know, I've like swum the channel and then had a fag. That type of thing. Which we didn't talk about either. Me swimming the channel.
I tried to end this discussion about 20 minutes ago. She wouldn't let me.
It's getting harder.
No.
I'm thinking about the musical very, very hard now.
Goodbye.